I was thinking about something the other day, as I often do, and that is Pokemon is basically the Sonic the Hedgehog of Nintendo franchises. And I'm not saying that as a knock to Sonic or Pokemon. I love them both to death, but that's why I criticize them sometimes. But the reason I say that they're very similar, especially at this point in time, is that everything is going good for them outside of the games. Like, think about Sonic. They got the movies going on, those are very popular. They got that Sonic Prime on Netflix, which a lot of people seem to like. And just a lot of good things going for them. But the games, yeah, they've always been kind of iffy. Sonic Frontiers is a little divisive. A lot of people like it. A lot of people don't. Sonic Superstar just came out. Again, kind of divisive. Some people like it. Some people don't. But that's just Sonic. But that's also Pokemon right now. I mean, look at the most recent Pokemon games, like the Diamond and Pearl remakes or Scarlet and Violet. Objectively bad games. But of course, people have fun with them because it's Pokemon. But look at all the stuff around Pokemon. The anime, a lot of these other streaming shows like that one they just announced for, on Netflix that has the stop motion. That looks really nice. And then they have like the trading card game animation and all these other things. A music video just came out that a lot of people seem to like. Everything around Pokemon right now is doing good, except for the games. Like, these two are video game franchises, and yet they're not doing well in their games. Yeah, they make money. Let's clear that up. Yes, they make money. That's why they're still around. Sonic and Pokemon are the only two franchises I know, besides, I guess, Call of Duty, that can continuously make bad games and still make millions because they're just so popular for whatever reason. I mean, good for them, right? But I think that's also the reason why they just never get any better, because they know they can release whatever and people will buy it. But anyway, I digress. I mean, think about it. This is all about Pokemon, really. I'll lay off Sonic for now. But let's look at all the games that were released on Switch, or at least the big ones. We have Pokken Tournament, which I don't even know if I should count because that was a Wii U game technically, but that was re-released on Switch. That's good. We have the new Pokemon Snap game, which is good for what it was. It's a simple game, just taking pictures of Pokemon, but it's one of the best-looking Pokemon games ever released. So I call that a win. That was a good game for what it was. And then we have Legends Arceus, which was a good game, but the only game made by Game Freak that I would consider good this generation. So, of course, that means it had some technical problems, because every game that Game Freak makes has some technical problems. Because, they don't have either don't have the time, or they're just not good developers in general. I don't know. Take your pick. I personally think it's the time thing, but then again, we saw what happened with Little Town Hero, so maybe they're just not the great developers that we thought they were. But regardless, so those are three games that I would consider good on the Switch. Now let's talk about games that are not good, but not terrible. I would put games like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in there. They're not great. They're not great remakes, but they're okay. They're not terrible, especially compared to some of the bad games on Switch. And let's talk about those bad games on Switch. That would be things like Pokemon Unite, the Diamond and Pearl remakes, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. I would consider these bad games. You can have fun with them, of course. Like I said, you can have fun with any game, really, much like with, again, Sonic. But objectively, when you look at them, they're bad games. Half of them don't even work. The Diamond and Pearl remakes and Scarlet and Violet in particular just don't work, especially at launch. And even after all the patches, they still don't work. Not as intended, at least. So, much like Sonic, people would say there's way more bad games than good games. Sure, the good games will always stand out, and again, people will always have fun with them, even the bad ones. But if we're speaking purely from objective standpoint, there are far worse Pokemon games these days than good ones. And that's a problem. I'm glad everything around Pokemon is doing well, like the anime and stuff, even though I don't watch the anime or play the card game or any of that. I'm glad it's doing good everywhere else. It's keeping people from hating Pokemon, and Sonic for that matter. But I really only got into Pokemon because of the games. And so I wish the games would be doing better. Same thing with Sonic. As much as I like the movie and stuff, the movies that Sonic is making and all that other stuff, I don't really get into Sonic except for the games. I want the games to be better. So same thing with Pokemon. I want Pokemon to be better in their games, and that's just not happening right now. And I kind of wish what's the difference? What's the difference here? I think the difference is Game Freak, because look at all the good games I named, Pokken Tournament and New Pokemon Snap. They were not made by Game Freak. And, look at all the other stuff that is going good with Pokemon, like the TV show and everything else like that, all the different series, not made by Game Freak. It's like, I swear Game Freak is the weak link here. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm sure they're working hard, and we all know that they don't have as much time as they probably want to work on these things. It's not like no effort is going into these games. There is effort going in there, but at the end of the day, you're still selling a subpar product, and you're knowingly selling a subpar product because nobody in their right mind would sell Scarlet and Violet and the Diamond and Pearl remakes in the state that they were in. If this was Nintendo, they would have delayed it because we've seen that they will delay their games. But Pokemon will never do that, and that's obviously what's killing them. That's what's killing the games. Even something like Legends Arceus, which was a good game, like I said, had a ton of technical problems. Not as bad as Scarlet and Violet or the Diamond and Pearl remakes, but they're still there. So it's not perfect. Far from it. But so what do we do? Should they just give all their games to Bandai Namco again? Oh, I forgot too. Detective Pikachu game that came out recently, that was apparently bad, but I don't know if Game Freak made that one. And of course, Game Freak did not make Pokemon Unite, but we all knew that was going to be terrible the minute they said Tencent was part of it. So, and the fact that it was basically just a mobile game on Switch. So, but still, it seems like the big weakness is Game Freak, or maybe the executives at Game Freak who won't give them enough time. But the funny thing is, even if they had the time to make the Diamond and Pearl remakes and Scarlet and Violet better, would they be that much better? I mean, aside from all the glitches and bugs and all that stuff, Scarlet and Violet were just poorly designed. Even if they ran good, it still would be bad. It's kind of like Sonic 06. Even if that game didn't have the bugs and glitches that it's famous for, it's still poorly designed, like in terms of the level design and how it was structured and the story and all that other stuff. Like, the bugs and glitches were just the icing on the cake, really. The game was just designed poorly. Same thing with Scarlet and Violet. They're just not designed well. That's what, hard truth, but it's true, So I just think they need to really start changing up what they do. That's why Legends Arceus was so good. It was so refreshing. It's not perfect, but if they do it again, they have an opportunity to fix all the problems and stuff. With Scarlet and Violet, that thing doesn't matter what changes they make to it. It's just a bad game. And I hope their next game will be better and they learn from that, but they never seem to learn, at least in terms of their mainline games. I mean, they've been going downhill for years now. And maybe they should take a page from Sonic and at least try new things. Say what you want about Sonic Frontiers or any of the other 3D Sonics and all the other stuff they do, and at least they're doing something. The problem I always have with 2D Sonic is that it's always the same thing over and over again, pretty much. Yeah, they're good, usually, but I've played them before. I feel like I played them before. Even if Legends Arceus wasn't as good as it was, like if it was kind of mediocre, like Sword and Shield or something like that, at least I'd be able to like, hey, well, that was different, and I enjoyed it. It's such a huge breath of fresh air that we so desperately need that at the very least, I enjoyed it. It's at least a step in the right direction. The problem is, a lot of people say this with Sonic, step in the right direction, but they never stay in that direction. They always teeter off and go somewhere else. Like for the people who really like Frontiers, are they ever going to do it again? We don't know because they tend to not do that. Sega seems to they reinvent the wheel every time. So, and Pokemon has the exact opposite problem. They never reinvent the wheel. They've been sticking with a rock wheel since the Stone Age, basically. Since Red and Blue, they've been doing the same thing pretty much and only ever deviate in their spinoffs. So I guess, yeah, Sonic and Pokemon, for as similar as they are, they're different and they're like two extremes of, the same coin, basically. There's no real point to this video. I'm just kind of ranting. I just thought it was an interesting thing, comparing these two franchises that I like and love to hate sometimes. I don't know. Deep down, I will always love them, though. As much as I complain about them, I only do it out of love, just so you know. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.